Hi, Michael Bettine here for a new episode of It's Cup of Time. So last week I presented an episode called No One Cares About Your Gear, and that seemed to really strike a chord, as it were, with a lot of people. I got a lot of responses on various social media and messages and things, and I think a lot of people perhaps misunderstood the message I was trying to get there. So I just want to go over it a little bit, maybe clarify a few things. No one cares about your gear really except you and fellow gong players, sound players. You know, we tend to like our gear a lot, and we kind of like the gear other people have, and we talk about it. You know, we get together and talk about gongs and mallets and all sorts of things like that. At least I do with other players. But you get outside of that circle, the other people don't care. They really don't. So if you're at a session and you're talking to just the regular people who've come to see you, I mean, they're not asking you technical questions about what frequency is that gong, and you know, do you have a 432 hertz bowl and things like that. Not necessarily. A few people might ask that, but not out of any real sense of knowing details, just general sense. I tend to get general questions like, what does that symbol mean on your gong? Okay. Why is your gong all bumpy? Why does it have all those bumps on it? Can you play those too so I can hear the differences? Things like that. Why does this gong have rings on it? That's more people's interest and understanding in what we do, as opposed to asking specific details like we would ask somebody. That's not to say that I haven't been asked about 432 hertz or chakra tones or things like that. But in that case, it's been more from just kind of a curiosity standpoint, because they've heard about it, or perhaps they are a bowl player and they've heard about chakra notes and they go, well, what do you think about that? But even that question isn't about gear. It's about notes, frequencies, tones, however you want to describe that. So they're not asking specifics about the bowls. So that's all I'm trying to say is, it doesn't really matter. And just to really illustrate how it doesn't matter, I do a lot of playing. Over the years, I've done a lot of gigs all over the place. And if I have to fly somewhere, I don't bring this stuff with me. Number one, I don't want to have to pay to fly my gongs and my stands anywhere. Number two, the people I'm playing for, the presenters, the venue, whoever, they don't want to pay to fly my gongs and my stands. It's expensive. So I almost always play on borrowed or hired equipment. Oftentimes, because I'm a Paiste endorser, if it's possible, Paiste is able to provide gongs and stands and possibly even mallets for me to use for the event, for the gig. Otherwise, people I know might do that. I've done that for friends who've played in town and brought them gear to play. So that helps, knowing people all over the place. Or the venue will hire instruments from someplace. So in that case, I still have to do what I do. I can't rely on my own gongs and my own instruments and knowing how they sound like and knowing what they do and fall back on things. I can't just do that because I have completely different instruments. But I can present the same thing because the music's not here. Here's a test. Take a listen. Do you hear anything? No. That's because The music's not here. There's the potential for music. There's a great potential for fantastic music in all these discs hanging behind me. But just hanging there, there is no music. So where does the actual music come from? Me. It comes from me. So if I'm to pick up a mallet, I can hold the mallet all day long. There's still no music. The mallet has no music. The gongs have no music. But the minute I decide to strike the gong, now we have music. So if anything, that's the big message that perhaps I didn't get across very well about all of this gear. And I'm a gearhead, like I said. I have more gear than you can believe. So people who've been here to my studio to take a lesson or something, they've seen the extent of all the crazy stuff I have. So yeah, I'm a gearhead. But I don't let that define me or get in the way, because I cannot always use my own gear. Or sometimes I have to bring a much smaller setup. I still do the same music because the music's here. It's in my heart. It's in my mind. You know, it's me. I am the music. You are the music, not the instruments. And again, when people come to hear you, that's what they want. They want the music. They don't care how you make it. They don't care what your instruments are. They're there. They're lying on the floor, or if it's a concert, they're sitting there in their chair, watching, listening. They want the music. Doesn't matter how it's made, what makes it, they want the music. And if you can provide quality music, no matter what you're using, that's all that matters. So think about that next time you get hung up on some gear. Or you think all the people out there are like, oh, this is cool. I've got this new Blizzard gong, and people are going to really love it. They're going to freak out when they see it and all this. It's like, no, they won't. Maybe a couple people, but no, not generally, because they don't care on that level. All they care about is the music, the sounds. On a secondary level, maybe, ooh, that's a pretty gong. I like that, and I don't know what that is, but that's kind of cool too. Ooh, this is like really kind of neat with those rings and that. And this bumpy one, it's got rainbow colors on it. Wow. You know, a visual standpoint there, merely just a visual stimulation. So don't get hung up on the gear. It's not that important. Get hung up on what you do with it, okay? I'd like to talk about an experience I had at a session last weekend, because I think it's rather interesting. Now, when I play a session, I normally have my phone and I put it over on my mallet tray to the right, or when I'm playing, to the left, to keep track of the time, because that's important to do. When I'm playing a session, it's usually a 90-minute time bracket, and I play about 70 minutes and have 10 minutes at the end for questions and answers or so. So, to keep track of time, I have my phone there so I can be playing, look at it and go, okay, I've got half an hour left. I got 10 minutes left, whatever. So I don't go over too much. In a lot of places I play, they might have an activity after me, or it's just late at night and I know the studio owner wants to get home. I want to get home. So instead of just playing and playing and playing and not keeping track of time, and suddenly I've played 2.5 hours and it's real late, I keep track of my time. And I think that's an important thing to do. I'm always punctual when I get there, And I'm always good at keeping track of how long the session is so we can end on time. And that's that. So anyway, at this session, it was in a really nice, small, intimate yoga studio. And at this time of year, we have the sunlight until much later. So this place has some nice skylights and some nice windows. The walls are white. It's a nice, bright studio without being super bright. And because of the windows and the skylights up above, it's bright. Now, in most studios, turn out the lights and it gets dark, or dim the lights so, there's just enough light to see. Here, we can't do that. One time I said, can we turn those lights down? I think it was the first time I was there. Can we turn those lights off? It's kind of bright. And the people who knew the studio kind of chuckled, and the owner said, well, those are skylights. But they looked like lights, the really unique design of the skylights. So anyway, I knew this place would stay lit. So I wanted to record video and audio of the session. So I wanted to use my iPhone for the video because it's easily portable and it takes fantastic video. But if I didn't have my iPhone, I don't have anything to keep track of the time. So I set everything up, used my iPhone. I was going to bring a small clock out of my office to put in the place of the iPhone to keep track of time, but I forgot to grab it on the way out. So here I was with no clock, and there are no clocks in the studio. So it was an interesting thing. But here's the really intriguing thing is I've been a drummer since I was 12 years old. And time is my domain. I mean, really, time. And if you noticed, I don't wear a wristwatch. I haven't worn a watch in probably 30 years or so. And I know now I have a cell phone, so obviously it has a clock on it, and computers have the clocks, and all the appliances in your house have clocks and all that sort of stuff. And there's clocks everywhere. So you can exist without carrying something on your wrist to know what time it is. But beyond that, I have a great sense of time. I can often, usually within 10 minutes, know what time of day it is. So here I am at this session, and I'm playing, and I'm just feeling my way through it, and I'm playing and playing. And I played very differently, too. I did some things that I haven't done before, a lot of improvising, but I can feel this sense of linear clock time as it's moving. So I'm playing and playing, and then it's like, okay, I feel it's like this time in my session, almost the end time, sort of the last door to go through into the ending. So I felt, okay, this is the time. I played the usual things I do at about that time, and then started the wind up to finish things. And then I finished everything out, did some questions and answers, and bang, I was done looking at the clock. Then it was like 90 minutes had passed by from the start. Now when I got home and edited all the audio and video, if you just time the session, the video from the start to beginning, it's a little over 68 minutes. And normally I tend to play 65 to 70 minutes. So there I was, right where I should be. So I thought that was an interesting experience. I was all worried about not having a clock, but then I trusted myself. And I trusted that I have a good sense of time. And it came out just like it normally does. So trust yourself and keep track of time.